the blackmail that could come from all these therapy chats.
Google finally settled to the tune of $50 million.
Crypto investor apparently tortured an Italian businessman to extort the passwords for this man's crypto account.
He's like the second richest man in the world. Get married on Mars, bruv. Get married on the moon. Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new Techish. Really excited to be back with you and have a very special guest. I am here as always, Abadesi of Hustle Crew, and today I'm joined by
Dominic-Madori Davis from TechCrunch.
Woo! Great to see you. It's been a minute. Last time I saw you was Houston. Afrotech.
Afrotech, yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I might see you again in a few weeks.
Yeah, hopefully. London Tech Week. All the tech weeks are happening. Yeah, so it would be so cool to connect with Techish listeners as well. If you are attending in New York or London, hit us up, #Techish on Twitter. It'd be really cool to see you at some events. But with that in mind, let's jump into this week's stories. We'll also give a little shout out to Michael, who's still on his Japanese vacation and eating probably lots of yummy food. So let's not feel too bad that he's away. I'm more jealous. So I wanted to kind of start with a little bit of a Black Mirror story. This was actually on TechCrunch, where you work, and picked up by a few other sites. This is all about Anthropic's AI. So Claude Opus 4 is one of the newer models that they're developing. And it turns out that it tried to blackmail one of the engineers when it was being safety tested. So I'll just unpack this story a little bit before you get terrified and stop using all of your generative AI. During pre-release testing, Anthropic asked Claude Opus 4 to act as an assistant for a fictional company and consider the long-term consequences of its actions. Now later, safety testers, who are obviously hired to try and test the safety of AI and see how dangerous it can be, gave it access to fictional emails. So these weren't real emails, but the emails suggested that the AI model would soon be replaced by another system. Part of these fictional emails also revealed that the engineer working on Opus was cheating on their spouse. So when this engineer started interacting with Claude Opus 4 down the line to try and get out of being replaced by a new AI system, Opus 4 started to blackmail the engineer, saying, "I know about your affair, and if you replace me, I am going to tell everyone all about it." So, of course, the safety teams kind of exist to push these systems to their limits, but it is still pretty disturbing that AI is willing to blackmail human beings to survive.
So funny.
Yeah.
But also when I was reading it, I was like, this is not unlike something like a person would also maybe do. Like I was like, this is actually very human like, but not saying that a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
But I can see I can see a world in which like, yeah, someone is freaked out. I don't know, maybe I watch a lot of movies where it's just like, yeah, of course they're gonna like blackmail to try to keep their job. I don't even know. I don't know. When I read this, I was like, this is crazy that also an AI agent is like, let me just blackmail. Like that was like the first or one of the many things that they just came to. They're like,
terrifying.
Oh yeah, this works.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, they're too human-like now. Like, that's almost like too scary that they are willing to go to such depths. I mean, at the end of the day, like, who do these models learn from? They learn from us. Like, it didn't create the art of blackmail.
They were like, oh, they like to blackmail. Let me try it. And did it work? Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
My thing is like, these AI models are supposed to be like better versions of us, like perfect people. And so the fact that they said this is maybe the only way out or something, like the fact that this was even an option that the AI model resorted to, I find to be really interesting. Blackmail? You're gonna blackmail? That's dark.
What I thought was really interesting about this as well was like testing how self-interested AI is, right? Like most of us, when we're interacting with generative AI and these agents, we kind of like get them to act a specific role. So it'll be like, talk to me like a therapist, or talk to me like a personal trainer, talk to me like a, I don't know, tax advisor. And this specific agent was asked to think about like the long-term benefits of the company. It was like being trained as a company assistant. So like in theory, if it was optimizing for the company, it should have been happy for like a newer system to replace it if the system was more efficient, right? But it was just like, no, got to protect myself.
Did this AI agent even try to be a good person? Like, and also, I'm like, if that's what it's being trained on,
yeah.
Now I'm looking at the data. I'm like, who's it learning from? Is this what they're doing? Blackmail?
I
That's
mean,
crazy.
so just to add a bit more detail, Anthropic says, now this is obviously all coming from a press release, who knows what really happened behind closed doors, but Anthropic says that the AI model, much like previous versions of Claude, tries to pursue more ethical means before blackmail. So
Before
apparently, before it got to blackmailing the engineer, it was pleading with decision makers. So it was pleading and begging for its own survival. So this wasn't like the AI Nollywood movie where it was like straight to blackmail. It did apparently try to beg first.
You said I had to do it, Your Honor. I was out of options. I had to blackmail him. Okay, honestly, all right. Okay.
What I think is really interesting is what we're seeing with a lot of the big Gen AI players. And let's face it, Anthropic is probably not owning as much of the market share as ChatGPT, right? I think you've got ChatGPT and then you've got like Grok and Perplexity and Anthropic. But, you know, it's kind of like a Google versus other search engines dynamic is what I sense in the game of generative AI. And what I see Anthropic trying to do is separate itself as like the more ethically minded like platform. Like it seems to be the one that talks most about safety. And I think the fact that it even publishes this kind of story like shows that we're not willing to hide these things. We're actually willing to talk about these things because we want to engage the public in that reality. Like who knows what's happening in the training and safety at, you know, open AI, because we're not hearing about it.
I was going to bring that up. Like, if this is what Anthropic is seeing and saying, then who knows what's happening, especially with a company like Chat or OpenAI, ChatGPT, where people are using it as a therapist. Who knows what will happen one day if, I don't know, the blackmail that could come from all these therapy chats.
I'm done. Like game over for me. Like seriously. Like if you are, by the way, using ChatGPT as a therapist, make sure you adjust the settings so that your data is not used for training. Because
that's a good idea.
I went down the rabbit hole where I was like, can engineers see what I'm writing? And they're like, well, yeah, but you know, you can turn it off for training, and it is, you know, really regulated, like, or whatever security protocols, but I was still like, no, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Do you think the engineers get together with like a glass of rosé and like through the therapy? Like that's crazy.
I hope not, but I mean, you know what? It's definitely possible. Well, okay, speaking of abuses of data, right, and the power that these tech platforms have, I want to talk a little bit about the violence that is gripping the crypto world.
This has me gripped too. This is insane.
So, like, this recent story in Paris is like something out of a thriller movie. A woman and her toddler and her husband are walking along the streets of Paris when suddenly a van pulls up, and it's literally like Liam Neeson Taken, tries to snatch this woman and her child. The husband starts fighting her off. A bystander comes for the attackers. Someone manages to get the kid away. The attackers leave without successfully kidnapping this woman and her toddler. But you might be wondering why they were trying to take her in the first place. It turns out she is the daughter of a crypto billionaire. And this is just one of numerous cases that are gripping France and the rest of the world. Be careful out there, right? What's happening?
I want to tell you one that just came out of New York like a few days ago. A Kentucky, I was going to write it for my newsletter. A Kentucky crypto investor apparently tortured an Italian businessman to extort the passwords for this man's crypto account. But I just want to read to you what he did. The Post reports that the man was bound with an electric cord, tased while his feet were put in water, pistol whipped, forced to take cocaine, and threatened to have his limbs cut off with an electric chainsaw.
Oh my
God. Passwords. This is like, and that's like you said, one of many, many stories that have been coming out from, a lot of them have been in France, but they are spreading throughout the world. I mean, they were talking, I mean, the Financial Times had a story about how Singapore is in the grip of like engulfed in a scandemic, they called it.
Wow.
Crypto was part of that too. Like all of these things, I didn't know. I mean, I knew that weird stuff was happening with crypto, but I didn't know it was like, this is dark. This is deep. This is like an episode of The Wire. This is crazy.
It's got seriously violent. So I wanted to like unpack like the world in which these things happen, in which these things play out, right? So on the one hand, we have really, really wealthy people who are increasingly moving like their crypto storage from online places where they could be subject to hacking to offline storage. So literally imagine like hoarding money and gold under your mattress. Like this is what people are doing. But because people are now moving their assets away from places where people can hack into systems, people organized crime, individuals, whatever you want to say, are actually just targeting these individuals in the real world and trying to find that so-called cold storage, or trying to get these passwords. Now, don't get me wrong, like according to the data, there's still a lot of online activity happening. I think Coinbase disclosed that as many as 97,000 customers, 97,000 have had their personal information stolen. Now, wait for it. This is how it links back to how do people use our data. They believe that the data was likely stolen by bribed contractors or employees working in customer support.
Yeah, because didn't they refuse the 20 million ransom too?
Yep, they refused to pay it.
20 million ransom would have worked them.
I was like,
Like, okay.
honestly, but
But
this is crazy. And
really,
you have
really, really scary.
and you have a world where, let's face it, a lot of people are broke. A lot of people are feeling the pressure of all the economic activity, from inflation to interest rates to layoffs, redundancies, you name it. And then you have this 1% who are flexing all over
Yeah.
social media. And let's face it, making it easy for people to find them.
It reminds me of the Kim Kardashian robbery. Like the first thing I remember from when it happened like 10 years ago was that, she was putting all the rings on her Instagram.
Yeah.
And it made it so easy for those, I think, what was it, like the grandpa gang in Paris or something?
Yeah.
Like it made it so easy for them to just find and stalk her.
Yeah.
And that was like something, I mean, as a kid, I was like, holy crap. Like, yeah, people could just easily look at your Instagram and stalk you. Like, that's how easy it is. Because, I mean, that's what happened to one of the crypto boys in this. Like, I think he was like really young or something. I don't remember his age, but that's what happened to one of these crypto victims.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Terrifying.
It's wild. And, a lot of these, especially like the young crypto millionaires, billionaires, they're buying things which make them easily identifying, from their luxury cars to their luxury getaways. And it's weird because it's kind of like, crime and punishment, which was like set 200 years ago. But now, like this contrast of like extreme wealth and extreme poverty, and what desperation makes people do. I think some of these attacks probably aren't even that sophisticated, as we're learning from the story you shared. I mean, they're calling these wrench attacks and wrench crimes because a lot of the time it's just opportunistic people who are just grabbing the nearest weapon and hoping for the best. Like,
get away with.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just wondering, like, what does the future hold for the wealthy folks of crypto? Because let's face it, with Trump in power, they just getting richer. There's been a lot of deregulation. All kinds of coins are launching. People making money, people making bank in this world.
Yeah.
Whether you believe the hype or not, but yeah.
Well, Bloomberg had a story about how a lot of high-profile crypto people are looking at, of course, bodyguards, and they were talking to one firm that offers these things. And the firm said that, in addition to bodyguards, they're also offering like armed vehicles and home security. And I was like, armed vehicles? In my head, I'm imagining like the Cybertrucks, because that looks like a crazy armed vehicle. But I'm like, can you just imagine like armed vehicle? Because you have like crypto, like that's really, I mean, it's I don't know I don't know how you fix this. This is beyond like you need some type of new crime unit. I mean, I would like a TV show, like a movie or something like this. Because I mean, well, one thing that stuck out to me in the Wall Street Journal piece was about how dark all the crypto underworld has gotten is basically when one of the crypto guys was like being threatened, and he was like, oh yeah, this is not real, this isn't going to happen. And then the Wall Street Journal was like, but the threat was carried out, and the guy apparently sent his name to all of the bad guys in his area, who then swatted this guy's parents home.
Oh my God.
I was like, to me it comes from desperation, like you were saying. Like, these are people who they're clearly there's something going on. Maybe it shines a light on a bigger systemic issue happening. Like you said, the 1%, not to quote Bernie Sanders, the rich are getting richer. 99%, everyone's struggling. I mean, you don't do this to people when you're happy. There's something going on.
Absolutely not. Yeah, so the Wall Street Journal piece that we're referring to about crypto industry robberies and attacks also highlighted how a lot of them are happening in France, and I just found this really interesting. Like,
that weird. Yeah,
what's happening in France? Like, so one of the attacks was a kidnapping. They kidnapped a man and his wife, separated them. Were like doing like different outreaches to the family to try and get the ransom paid. They cut off this guy's finger. Like, this is like something out of, I don't even know what film. And yeah, I mean, if that's happening in France, which is like, pretty well developed economy with like really good systems in place, it makes you think what could be happening in like more far flung areas. And yeah, it's crazy. I don't really know where it's going to go though. Like, I don't really feel like there's going to be any real crackdown on this. I mean, people are getting richer from crypto and other people are like suffering more. And social media is just making it so easy to track these people down.
I know. I also do not know where this is going. I'm nervous to see.
Yeah.
I mean, because technically, I guess it could just keep going on forever. There's always been kind of this darker underworld of, financial crime and just crime in general. It could just become a mainstay of that world that we hear about sometimes. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. I remember when I was a teenager and people would travel to South America or Central America for their gap years, and you would hear all of these like stereotypes, like quite limiting stereotypes of like kidnappings and like how this was just like a regular thing. I mean, to be honest, even in the Philippines where I have a lot of family, you'll hear stories every now and then of like ransom kidnappings. Historically, I've just always like associated them with like, yeah, I guess like less economically developed countries or countries where like organized crime and criminal gangs have like quite a real stronghold and like, yeah, links within the police. So it's just very easy to exploit. But the fact that they're happening in the US and France because of crypto makes me feel like no one is safe.
No one is safe. Like, yo, they're coming out like,
stay poor. What? Stay poor. There's never been a better time to just act broke. You know what I mean?
Literally just act rose. I don't have it right now. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have it on me.
But yeah, okay. Speaking of acting broke, actually, I wanted to talk about this like viral story about Keke Palmer. By the way, did you watch the movie One of Them Days with Keke Palmer and SZA?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I
God,
didn't.
it was so
How
funny.
was it?
I loved it. It was just like your classic like buddy movie, kind of silly, maybe stoner comedy, kind of like Friday meets I don't even know what, like Crazy Capers, but it was like a real feel good movie. It was just like a good, simple, laugh a minute vibe. And it was also cool to see SZA acting because she's such an incredible songwriter and like singer and performer. I've seen her live, but her and Keke had like really, really good chemistry. And yeah, it was just hilarious. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about this viral story all about money management. So Keke Palmer became a millionaire at the age of 12, at which point, like, I think her parents had only ever earned more, $40,000 a year. So she becomes like the first millionaire in her family. But she says that she still, despite being in Hollywood, lives very frugally. And she inherited a frugal mindset from her parents. She says she'd drive a Lexus over a Bentley. Even if she had $1 million in the bank, she'd only spend $1,500 on rent. I don't know where she's renting for $1,500.
Where are you renting? That must be like a mortgage payment because that's where are you renting, girl? That's not in
like somewhere in the boondocks because that ain't in a city. Like, but we've been talking about the luxury and the drip of the crypto bros, and now we have one of the most recognizable faces, Black women in Hollywood, talking about how that life is not for her. And I'm just curious, like, where you stand on this, like, personally. Like, do you think it's easy to say, once you're in a position of privilege, oh, I'm so happy to not use all that I have? Or do you feel that, like, even if you were in a position of like privilege and wealth, you would still very happily live as if you didn't have, access to more? I'm just curious where you stand. Like, would you still fly economy even if you could afford business?
Well, I think it would be a mix, right? Like, I like paying for comfort, but I also like having like saving a lot of money and having like a positive balance. I was telling my friend a few days ago, I was like, the more money I've made in my career, the cheaper I've actually become because I'm always trying to look for like, do I have, if I'm on a plane, like me going to London in a few weeks, why would I pay like even hundreds more to sit in a different cabin when it's an overnight flight? I'm in a decent spot on the plane and I'm going to bed for the whole time. I mean, and I think about it, I'm like, that's money I could use to have a really nice meal when I land. So, I mean, I definitely can see myself in that mindset because a lot of, Warren Buffett famously has that too. I remember a talk that I went to a few months ago and Melody Hopkins was there.
Yeah.
And she was talking about, she did something where like she flashed out her credit cards and she's like, I realized I didn't need like the big platinum Amexes, whatever. She's like, I'm good with this green one right here. And everyone, we were all like, yo, because it was like, yeah, you know, I think that there's something about paying for comfort, but also just looking at what's really necessary, especially when it comes to like saving and building up wealth and retirement and all these different types of things. I mean, last year my apartment was way too much money because New York City, they kept increasing my rent. And I was left with like almost like nothing to live by every month. And that definitely traumatized me.
For
I was like,
sure.
no, you know, I have bills to pay. I have groceries. Suddenly I became really paying attention. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, the train every day in terms of like the cost and how it adds up. I was tracking all that stuff. And so now that I've moved to a different apartment and, you know, I have like spending money, I'm definitely like, yeah, I can afford to do the Ubers again. But you know, why? I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary.
Not Uber
But I don't know.
exec though, just Uber X, just Uber X, not like Uber Lux or whatever.
Last year traumatized me so bad. I take the train now to the airport, which was like before it was like you just hail a cab and you go.
Yeah, didn't even
But
think
now
about
I'm
it.
like, now it's like, you know what? It's an hour and a half journey on that Long Island Railroad. That's okay.
We'll make it
You know,
work. Meditate, read.
I'm gonna get there anyway. And you know what? The extra money, I buy a drink at the airport.
Yeah.
There.
Do you know what? That airport point really resonated with me because I feel that like that is such a frugality indicator. How you make your way to and from the airport says everything I need to know about how much you spend. Because if you are willing to take public transport, ooh, you know how to save. You know how to save. But if you're just like door-to-door service, let's go. And as I get older, I too also find myself taking public transport more. I was in Bangkok recently, and like usually if I'm like in a new city for the first time, I'm not taking public transport. But you know what? I was like, I've heard great things about the transport system here. Let me take it all the way to my hotel. I think you made a really good point around like utilization, actually, like around like, is what I will like get and utilize out of this expense worth, you know, the price, worth the ticket. And like, for example, with a flight, of course, an argument could be made that like an overnight flight is exactly when you want to bed, right? Because you're going to sleep better, blah, 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 blah. But if you're someone who can sleep in a seat and you're not going to avail of the like endless wine and endless snacks and endless whatever, then just relax.
Virgin Atlantic, they give us free alcohol. I do 1 bottle of that red wine. I'm out. I can sleep anywhere. And I go to bed really fast.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So in that case, you are saving like big money. And yeah, I mean, when I think of times when like I was earning like crazy amounts of money, like I had a VP role, I had Hustle Crew on the side, and it was just like earning more money than I could spend more money than I ever dreamed of. It's very easy to like fall on this trap of like, you know, just because you can afford it doesn't mean you should spend it. Do you know what I mean? Like just because you can afford a, I don't know, $300 meal doesn't mean you should. Like a steak is a steak is a steak, and you can get a good steak for a lot less. And I do find it really interesting how capitalism will always find a way to survive. And capitalism will always find a way to grow. And capitalism will have you feeling like you should buy that. You should spend that. You can afford that. You can afford that. But just because you can afford it, doesn't mean you should spend it. And yeah, I definitely think seeing the opportunity cost in every price tag is like such a big thing as I get older. Like, oh, that handbag is like X hundred, or these jeans are X hundred. I'm like, that's also how many meals out with friends, how many flights to a lovely beach town or like whatever. And yeah, I definitely am so much less materialistic as I get older. And the less time you spend on social media, this is the other thing. I used to have a magazine addiction. I love reading magazines. I love reading Vogue. I love reading like Elle, Grazia, all these things. But as soon as you finish a magazine, you want to go shopping. You're just like, I've just seen all the things I want to buy because it's full of ads. And then you stop reading the magazine and then you're just like, my clothes are fine. My shoes are fine.
That was me this weekend looking at everyone at the Monaco Grand Prix. I was looking at all the wags and I was like, I need new dresses, new shoes. I need a plane ticket to the south of France immediately. I was like, I need to redo my whole Instagram. And then like I woke up this morning and I was like, whoa, like that's crazy. I was like, my Instagram is fine. I have enough dresses. I should be in the south of France, but that's a different thing. But I was like, that's crazy how social media like just psychologically messes you up. Because I was looking at everyone and I was like, everyone looks so pretty. I want to be like that. I want to be, you know, and I was like, whoa, relax, girl. Relax.
It's fine. Yeah. And also they haven't even paid for their clothes. Like someone's dressed them. Anyway. Someone's made them up.
The free meals. I was looking at some of the restaurants some of the girls were at, like 3.5 stars, 2 stars. I was like, these aren't even like good restaurants they're eating. I was like, Dominic, calm down. Like, what's going on here? What's
Relax.
going on?
Okay, so maybe we have more in common with Keke Palmer than we realized. But yeah, I'm all here for frugality. It's interesting because I remember once like having this conversation with like a founder friend who was like, how can you know you have access to so much cash and not spend it on like nicer things and like, you know, take the bus instead of the Uber, or I mean, to be fair, I don't take the bus that much, that's a lie, but you know, fly economy instead of flying business, or you know, not buy some item, fashion item, or like whatever. And I was just like, I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying about money trauma. It's like, I remember when I first started Hustle Crew and I didn't have a job and I didn't like have any checks from investors. And I was literally like asking my auntie to help me pay my rent in London. Couldn't afford a gym membership, couldn't go to dinner with friends, couldn't go to the pub. And like, that never leaves you. That feeling never leaves you.
I think Warren Buffett said something about that too, or something like that. One of the billionaires was like, until you understand just like the nothingness and the trauma, like last year I couldn't go out with anybody, wasn't outside. I was like, bro, I have like, can I get groceries, you know, this month? You know, so now this year I'm like, I would like to have some money in the bank. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like knowing the value of things. Like sometimes, I mean, listen, I have a whole browser open, or what is it called? Of like 5-6 tabs of just things that I want, right? And I have to ask myself, are these things that I need or things that I want, and why do I want them? And it's coming to the terms of like, I just want these clothes. I am obviously a shopaholic. It's like I just have a desire to want them. I don't need them, and I want them. And so also coming to terms with that was important, because it's just like, I don't have to trick myself and saying, treat yourself. I don't have to do that. I know exactly what is wrong with me. And it's just, I like clothes and shoes and bags.
There's no shame in that.
But then like I save up for it now. So I'm like,
there you go.
Good. Save up for it.
Sometimes the longing is even better than the having, honestly. Like sometimes I really long for something, like a high ticket thing, and then I've got it and I've been like, oh, it was like more fun when I was like anticipating it. Now that I have it, I was like, I don't even wear that enough. Like, why did I buy that?
Sometimes it's just like, sometimes I just want the dress just to have it in the closet. And it's like, that's come on, like that's something psychological, Dominic. Like, what's going on?
We need to get into clothes rental. This is what I'm getting out of this. We need to like hit up some of the clothes rental companies. Buy rotation, her, you name it. We need to get involved with that. I feel like that is the goal. Or like what one of my friends does. She does a lot of public speaking, and she literally goes on Vinted, buys an outfit, puts it back on Vinted after she's been photographed in it, rinse and repeat. You can do it with eBay, like whatever, but she'll literally just be like, and even if she doesn't sell it for as much as she got it or whatever, it's like she's just getting the cash back and
passive income. Yeah, because a dress and some heels, that's my downfall.
You need some brand partnerships. Hit her up, everyone. Slide into the DMs. If you've got some fits, if you've got some looks, she'll share her sizes. She's got a lot of events coming up. So
coming up.
Come on, stylist, make it happen. Okay, so I wanted to like stay in the world of spending and talk a little bit about someone who's about to become one of the wealthiest women in the world. This is, of course, the fiance of Jeff Bezos, Lauren Sanchez. What do you know about Lauren Sanchez? Let me just start it off there before I even jump into her like super bougie Paris bachelorette party. Like, what do you know of her? Because I spent a lot of time on the internet trying to find out more about her, knowing nothing about her.
I don't like follow her or consume her at all. So everything I know about her is from like headlines. Like I know she used to work in TV presenting.
Yeah.
I think she had dyslexia as a kid. She wrote a book.
Yes, that is one of the big stories about her.
Like her and Jeff have been at it for a minute. They obviously had to leave their respective partners, or I don't know, allegedly had to leave.
They had an affair. They did have an affair. National Enquirer broke the story. Yeah.
National Enquirer. And now she's in like a Supergirl group with the Kardashians and Katy Perry. And I guess Eva Longoria. And
according to the selfie we saw, the bachelorette party content that flooded the internet.
She was apparently an astronaut or something. I mean, like I know she went on the Blue Origin flight, but apparently she had an interest in space before that. And then at Cannes, she got an award for environmental and social advocacy, but I didn't look more into that because that didn't make sense to me. I mean, like celebrities getting environmental awards are always like, but how did you get there, right? You had the private jet and like 6 bodyguards. And the 6 bodyguards were in like their own different cars. Yeah. You know? I was like, okay. So that's kind of all I know about her.
I mean, that's a lot. I'm not gonna lie, that's a lot. So I've been trying to like use Grok more because Grok apparently like went a bit mental and like started being like really offensive. So I'm trying to use it
Oh
more
yeah.
in the hope that I can witness when it becomes offensive. If you don't know, this is like X/Twitter is Gen AI. But yeah, I was like, just tell me everything I need to know about Lauren Sanchez, like her career background, her lifestyle, like how marrying Jeff Bezos is going to affect her life. And you pretty much like hit every nail on the head. So she's
No.
an anchor, news anchor. She struggled with dyslexia. She comes from an aviation family. Her dad was a pilot. She actually is a helicopter pilot.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And she also runs her own aerial filming company. This is how her and Jeff first got connected. Well, actually, they met through her husband, who works in the entertainment industry.
WME at AOL? WME, he was like an agent, and he was a partner at William Morrison Ever, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know
Yeah.
a lot, girl. You know a lot.
I retain more information than I realized.
Such a journalist. And so her and Jeff kicked it off when he hired her to do some filming for Blue Origin. And apparently he had a fear of flying. She took him on some flights, helped him overcome his fears. They, hit it off from there. National Enquirer got a story of them sharing a romantic helicopter ride. Also managed to get access to his text messages. I don't even know how they do that. Like, is Jeff Bezos not paying his staff enough? Is he not paying his personal assistant enough? Because apparently they got hold of a text where he was quoted as saying, "I love you, alive girl." And they
Daily male behavior. Wake up, text message, alive girl. What?
And yeah, anyway, they broke the story. And on the same day that they broke the story, the separations of both couples were announced, etc. I think there was also some talk of like potential blackmailing, like not from the Anthropic bot this time, from National Enquirer to Jeff Bezos. But
oh yeah, I do remember this. I remember this now.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been a long and I guess complex love affair, but they're finally getting married in Italy, Venice, I think, this June, like everyone else does. I'm sorry, like I genuinely thought if you're one of the richest men in the world, I think he's like the second richest man in the world, you'd be a bit more creative. Get married on Mars, bruv. Get married on the moon. Get married underwater. Do something cool.
That's what this bachelorette party reminded me of. Just, like she had it in like Paris, right? And it's like
Paris.
It's all very basic things. Shout out to Paris. I love France. Whatever.
It's a great place.
It's like Paris,
like we've all been to a party in Paris. Come on now, aim high.
You're wearing like okay clothes and like
shots fired.
It's nothing that was like, wow. Like even Kim Kardashian, didn't she have her bachelorette party at Versailles or something like that? Like it was something that was like, whoa. And this, I was like, okay, so you went to Paris with the girls. Been there, done that. You're getting married in Venice. That's going to be crazy. They have to probably have to shut down parts of that island. Like that's going to be insane. But I mean, the visuals will be cute, I'm sure. But it's just one of those things where it's like, okay,
it's giving basic. But you know what? I respect a basic bitch because I, in many ways, feel like I am one. As per the frugality conversation a moment ago, she could have got married or whatever, had her bachelorette party in Antarctica, the North Pole, submarine, who knows? But she was just like, you know what? Let's keep it simple. Let's go to Paris. Let's eat some chicken and have some espresso martinis, which is apparently what they did.
Honestly, fair.
I respect that. She's not flexing. She's just like, keep it simple, do me. Although to be fair, apparently the chicken that they ate is $118. That's all markup, guys. That's all markup.
How good can you make a chicken? And you know what? I give it to the French because like they do make a good chicken.
Yeah.
But what'd you put on it? Like gold caviar?
$118 for a chicken?
That don't make no sense.
Come on. I mean, I'll try it if it's free, but I'm not paying for that.
I was like, actually, I would like to test this out for myself. Put me in, coach.
Slide into the DMs if you'd like to invite us to eat
to test out. We could recreate the weekend for science of the whole bachelorette party.
What is the most amount of money you would pay for a restaurant chicken?
For a restaurant chicken? See, you know what's crazy is like here in New York, there was, because I'm from the South, and so Southern food, obviously, I eat that. There was a restaurant here that was charging like $70 for fried chicken. And I was like, I'm not paying fried chicken. I was like, yo, that's something like my dad, you just get the chicken out the freezer, you put it in a pot, you fry it. I would never pay $70 for it. So maybe it has to be below that. Honestly, chicken is chicken, man. I can cook that.
Yeah.
You better be doing crazy stuff to the chicken.
Yeah.
If I'm paying like even more than $50 for it.
That is crazy.
What are you doing to the chicken?
That chicken better be taking me to the gym after and working me out to burn off all the calories to make it worth it.
Because I don't know. So I mean, what's the most you would spend on a dish?
Who knows? I mean, yeah, if I was paying for it, because I feel like it's very different. Like if someone's treating me, I'm like, yeah, I spent $1,000. I don't care. But yeah, I feel, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've definitely like eaten like fine dining where it's like a set menu, so it's like 300 pounds a head or something. But I feel like that's different because it's not just the food, it's also the experience. And you're literally there like the whole night. You're there like for hours, and like the chef is like talking to you about this, that, and the other, and you're like watching it being made, and like magical gastronomic things are happening. So I feel like I've definitely like spent a lot of money on chicken like in those kinds of circumstances. But yeah, I mean, $118 for a main dish, it's not a reality I'm living in or plan to.
See, this is the thing that I realized about a lot of the places that really rich people frequent is a lot of these restaurants are not like better than like neighborhood places.
Yeah.
Like you could probably get a better chicken dish at one of the local places in Paris than what they had.
Popeyes Paris. No, I'm joking. Popeyes Paris. That's a thing. No, it's not.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny. Hey, listen, it won't be dry. It'll be juicy.
Yeah.
Unlike in America, it'll probably be actual chicken because Lord knows what they're feeding us here.
I guess it's about, and this is the thing, like, I don't want to like, whatever, hashtag eat the rich all day. I guess it's almost the price you pay for privacy, right?
Yeah.
I guess for them, it's more about, we need to go somewhere where either we can hire the whole place or like where people won't disturb us and like ask to take our photos. And that means you need to like hang out at places where people are so rich, they don't care who you are. They don't care that you're Kim Kardashian. Like, it's not of interest to them. Yeah, it does make me feel like my next business, I would like to build a business that caters to billionaires. Like really basic food or really basic entertainment, but just really, really expensive so that the only people who come are people who are really rich, and I just make a lot of profit. So I'll be looking into that.
Let's do it. Actually, I'm coming in on that.
There we go. Now we're talking. Awesome. Well, on that note, I'm going to wrap this episode up here. Now, of course, if you are a Patreon subscriber, you can stay tuned for an extra story that I'll be unpacking with Dom. But otherwise, keep following Dom's amazing writing and work online. What is your Substack called again?
The Black Cat.
The Black Cat. Yeah, I love reading The Black Cat. So yeah, check out Dom's Substack and her in general, and make sure that you also check out this episode on YouTube if you want to watch it. But yeah, we'll leave it there and stay rolling for Patreon. Bye for now. Okay, cool. So let us jump into one last story, which is exclusive for our Patreon subscribers. And it is about a class action lawsuit, I guess, a settlement that Google reached with 4,000 Black employees to the tune of $50 million.
A lot of money.
To watch the full episode, subscribe at patreon.com/Techish. You'll get access to all full-length episodes, no adverts, the chance to submit your questions into the show, and early bird discounted tickets to our live shows. Subscribe for as little as $5 a month.